Greetings, beautiful people. We are still in a series of circle theorems. Today we have another circle theorem on the chopping board. Let's start eating good. It's about angle in a semicircle theorem. A semicircle is half of a circle. How can we get half of a circle? With the help of a line called a diameter. The question is, what is a diameter? Diameter is a distance passing through the center, touching exactly 2 points on the circle. So with this one, you realize that we said a chord is a line connecting 2 points on a circle. The diameter is also a chord, but this time it has to pass through the center. Once it passes through the center, then it qualifies to be called a diameter. So let's construct a diameter. First, need to construct our circle. Let's use the same radius of 6. So we have our circle. So I need to draw a line that will pass through the center. Once it passes through the center, then that line is called a diameter. Alright, we have our diameter that has divided the circle into 2 equal parts. You can clearly see that it's passing through the center. So once it passes through the center, this line, which is DE, can be described as a diameter. Now, what does the theorem say? The theorem is saying that an angle in a semicircle created by a diameter is always a right angle, that is 90 degrees. So let's create an angle from this diameter and let's measure the angle size and let's see whether it will be 90 degrees. That is a right angle. So let's draw a line from the diameter to create an angle. So you draw one here and another one here. Alright, so we've created an angle. Now let's measure the angle. I bet you can guess the size of angle DFE because it's created by the diameter. So what is the angle going to be? Let's measure. So we have DFE. Clearly the size of the angle is 90 degrees. Clearly the size of the angle is 90 degrees. Let's move the angle at the circumference around to see how it's going to affect the angle size. So we can move it around. Clearly at any point it is still 90. Even in an opposite direction it is still 90 degrees. So once it's created by the diameter, you are getting 190 degrees. Now why does this work? This works because you remember the angle created by a chord. The diameter is also a chord. Now let's measure the angle at the center. Watch this. Angle DAE 180. Do you remember the angle at the center is always twice the angle at the circumference? And because the diameter divides the circle into 2 equal parts, each angle at the center will be 180. So let's move it around so that you see it's always going to be half of 180, and half of 180 is 90. You can clearly see because the circle has been divided into 2 equal parts. So regardless of wherever you place it, once it's from the diameter, it is always going to be a right angle. It is always going to be a right angle. You can see that it is always going to be a right angle. That is angle in a semicircle theorem. Thank you for joining me. Share this video to all your friends, like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next episode. I'm out.